Good evening and welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. Are the Yankees ready to risk it all for a one-year rental in Skubal? And we've got Joel Sherman from the New York Post with the latest Yankees news. It's New York Minute Sports. It's New York Sports for New York Nuts. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's go!
It's New York Minute Sports.
Well, there you have it, folks. Welcome to another installment of the New York Minute Sports Show. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. We've got news out of Yankee land today. The Yankees, apparently, according to Sports Illustrated, have revised their trade to the Detroit Tigers. Now, real quick, the Detroit Tigers and Skubal went to arbitration. Skubal's asking for $32 million, while the Tigers are offering $16 million. So it's looking like the Detroit Tigers can hold on to Skubal, and other teams have been throwing trades out there all offseason long. Now that has died down, and it seems like teams have all the arms they want. Now the New York Yankees have entered the chat. Yankee fans, I want to know from you in the comments section below, would you do this deal for a one-year rental for Skubal? Because you might have heard of the trade proposal before, but now it's changed. Cam Schlittler, George Lombard Jr., Spencer Jones, and now you can add Ben Rice to that list. Yes, Ben Rice the Tigers are asking for. So that would be Lombard Jr., Ben Rice, Cam Schlittler, and Spencer Jones for a one-year rental of Skubal. And as a Yankee fan, man, I am done. Absolutely done with the one-year rentals. I don't want to go through a Juan Soto pivot again. We just survived a Cody Bellinger pivot that we were going to have to do. Guys, you got to remember, the New York Yankees are running back the same exact team as they had last year, theoretically. Adding another pitcher, a 12th pitcher to your rotation, would that help at all? Would that help you and separate you from the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays in the division? Not that much. Yes, the New York Yankees haven't won a World Series since they had a dominant left-hander like CC Sabathia. Skubal is one of the best pitchers in baseball, back-to-back Cy Young Awards. Paul Skeens and him are 1-2 as the best pitchers in baseball. But, dude, I want to hold on to Cam Schlittler. If you saw what Cam Schlittler did last year, that is just the signs of what's to come. The kid doesn't even have, theoretically, a third pitch yet. Once he figures out the changeup, he's going to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. And now, you guys got to remember, you have Garrett Cole on this salary for $37 million. You have Max Fried ballooning up to $36 million next year. And then you have Carlos Scrambled Eggs Brain, I got chips in my elbow, Rodón, is going to be making $34 million. So how are you going to re-sign Skubal? When you let go all the people in this deal, those are the people that Cheapo Hal Steinbrenner is going to love in the future. Making league minimum $500,000, Lombard Jr., Cam Schlittler. Cam Schlittler's on the first year of his contract. You're going to be able to get 4 years of production for $800,000 out of him. It would be asinine to give a guy like that up for a Skubal. Skubal's already 30. When are we going to learn to stop getting these older pitchers in their 30s? You don't get a pitcher after 26 or 27 years of age, and everyone kept saying, go get Paul Skeens, go get Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is not 23. He's 27. So he's up there, and he's a little long in the tooth as far as a prospect is concerned. Do I believe in the Yankees farm system producing these guys all to be all-star players? Not really. So then you might ask me, why not trade him for Skubal then? Because I am done with players using the New York Yankees as leverage to go play for the Dodgers or another franchise. It's exactly what Cody Bellinger did, and that's why Scott Boras has got his panties in the bunch, and he's sending his henchman John Heyman out, asking Bo Bichette how much his signing bonus was because he's throwing shade at his agent. And that's another story with John Heyman saying that the Yankees' negotiatings are outdated with Cody Bellinger. The New York Yankees got Cody Bellinger exactly for what he was worth. Listen, man, I know there's the proven commodity and the future prospects. I've been banging that drum on this show nonstop. Package them up for proven guys. But package them up for proven guys that are going to be here for more than 6 months, folks. You can't keep risking your whole franchise and all of your prospects for one-year rentals. The Juan Soto thing worked out. Michael King was a free agent back on the Padres. I get it. But George Lombard Jr. apparently in the know in baseball is supposed to be the goods. And this ain't no Anthony Volpe story. And Anthony Volpe, real quick, I was thinking about him today. It's been a while since we talked about Anthony Volpe. The New York Yankees treated him like a rented mule last year. They played him in 158 games with a torn labrum in his shoulder. And it's not Anthony Volpe's fault that he was brought up to be the next Derek Jeter. He didn't put that upon himself. I think Anthony Volpe can have a good, decent season this year with only playing 128 games. If you alleviate the workload a little bit, if you notice, Anthony Volpe always has good games after rest. So I think what you're going to get from him this year might be a surprise. Austin Wells is another guy that I think might surprise you with an uptick year. But Ben Rice being in this Skubal trade? No. The dude is considered like top 10 hitters with his plate approach in Major League Baseball now. He had the most bad luck outs in all of Major League Baseball, and he is going to be Aaron Judge's protection in the lineup. I'll tell you somebody who's not going to be the protection in the lineup for Aaron Judge. That's going to be Paul Goldschmidt. The New York Yankees apparently have rang the bell on Paul Goldschmidt and want a reunion. I say absolutely not. I don't want to see Paul Goldschmidt back. If you notice, what was the big thing about him before he came here was injuries. He fell off a cliff. He was always a 40-home run guy. Then on the Diamondbacks, he fell off a cliff. Second half of the season, he picked it up a little bit. The beginning of the season last year, he was hitting .411. The guy was unbelievable. But then after 3 months, after about 60 games, he fell apart. Paul Goldschmidt fell apart last year. So I do not want to take any reps away from Ben Rice at first base because Aaron Boone has a soft spot for an old veteran. If you want him to be the every fourth day first baseman and let Ben Rice be the starter, then I might take it into consideration. Having some veteran leadership on the bench, well-liked guy in the locker room, it wouldn't be a detriment to the Yankees if they were to throw $3 to $5 million and retain Paul Goldschmidt. But I'll tell you this, if it affects Ben Rice's playing time at all, I want nothing to do with the guy. And another thing about Ben Rice, I don't want him behind the plate this year. I don't. It's Austin Wells' shot. Austin Wells... And the reason I think that he's going to do well this year, he got the shit beat out of him behind the plate last year. Literally, twice a game, he would be crumpled over in pain. And that starts to add up after a while. And the guy still had about 22 home runs and 70 RBIs. He only played 138 games. So imagine if he were to put a full season together. So the New York Yankees, I think they should be out on Skubal. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Is this overkill from the New York Yankees with 12 pitchers already? Or would you make this deal because prospects are just that? They're scratch-offs. And in fact, Spencer Jones today fell out of the top 100 prospects in all of baseball. And it's very weird because coming off of 34 home runs in AAA after being a prospect, this is his third year being a prospect, he is shot up to AAA. People are down on him because of the 164 strikeouts in AAA. And they say nowadays it is tougher to jump from AAA to the major leagues. It's tougher than it's ever been in baseball history is the argument going around. And guess what? I kind of believe him. Also, real quick, before we go to Joel Sherman, the Yankees got a can of beef stew from the Rockies. I won't even learn his name until I see him correct his ways. He has a 7 ERA. Another guy that they think that they can get into the pitching lab and they can correct these reclamation projects. And you know that Brian Cashman's good at this, and he has that kind of Duval stuff. So he is a flamethrower, which is good. He throws harder than a bullpen. But now let's go to Joel Sherman. He's going to be talking Jason Dominguez. He's going to be talking prospects and everything Yankees here. And I thought we'd get up to date. Haven't been posting the last couple of days because really nothing's was going on, and I'm just not going to post the post. So let's go to Joel Sherman from the Post.
The Yankees can make a ton of moves, and they have right before spring training has started, right up until literally the season has started. They have had used this time to make different roster decisions. But this is a kid in Jason Dominguez who's 23 years old. He's still young. He needs time to play, I would argue. And now this prevents him from playing every single day when you have Bellinger, Grisham, Judge as your starting outfield, as long as Giancarlo Stanton is healthy. There's a lot of levers here. But does Jason Dominguez make sense being a bench player for the 2026 New York Yankees?
Yeah, one of the things I would ask here, Ryan, and this is something I do, and I know I brought it up before on the show, is like, let's act like we're one of the betting houses. And we have to come up with what we would establish as a comfortable over-under for number of plate appearances Jason Dominguez gets in the major leagues this year. What would be your number for that?
I would say the number would be 386.
For this year in his current projected role, 200?
No. You've got to do it and be right.
Oh,
like, in other words,
okay.
Produce a number that you think 50% of the public will bet under on and 50% will bet over on. And kind of that means, like, what do you, like, I understand we can make, like, a big fight about this, but, like, anyway, like, why don't you do it? What's that number?
I think if I'm putting the betting market there, I'm going to put him around 200 to 215 plate appearances this year.
Yeah, I would say I would have made it 300 and a half, like over under in there, which means he'll play a lot. And so we could talk about, like, what happens to him. Well, tell me the season where Stanton doesn't have a significant injury. We've mentioned pre-existing hamstring stuff for Grisham. We've mentioned pre-existing back stuff for Bellinger. I mean,
see, now what I'm getting is the sense that the Yankees are going to have a fluid rotation between multiple spots on this team this year, and I don't know if I like that. One of the complaints about this team is that they don't have a steady lineup, that they can't fall into a rhythm usually during the regular season. So if you have a rotation, a four-man rotation of Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, one DHs, Giancarlo Stanton gets hurt like usual. I told you Giancarlo Stanton should be on the Bartolo Colon rule where he doesn't show up until the end of July and he only plays half a season because that's when we only need him is in October. And his performance in October last year was not good. Jason Dominguez deserves a fair shot at the fourth outfielder spot, and he has not been given a fair shake yet. The reason this seems like it's not working out is because the New York Yankee fan base has been hearing about the Martian landing for the last 5 years. This guy was a prospect at 16 years of age for the New York Yankees. We signed him, and we've been hearing how he's a 5-tool player the whole time. So if you can ask why the patience of the New York Yankee fan has been running out, it's because it seems like he's been on the team for 5 years when, in theory, he's only been there for a year and a half. What do you think about Jason Dominguez's future? Are you as confident I am as him turning into a good player? And what I failed to mention before about the Anthony Volpe example that I was using, maybe Anthony Volpe is just a sixth hitter in the lineup. Maybe that's all he was meant to be. A prospect every time they come out of the franchise is not going to be Barry Bonds or Babe Ruth every time. You can get those B- prospects, and I think that Anthony Volpe, with time, can definitely become a B- prospect out of the Yankees franchise. And I still think that Anthony Volpe, if he were to go to a place like, let's say, the Diamondbacks, where he wasn't a kid from Jersey, where he wasn't growing up a Yankees fan, where he didn't have all this exterior pressure on him, where his dad's getting in arguments in the stands, he might be able to thrive. I think Anthony Volpe could be a 28 home run, 80 RBI guy hitting a lot of doubles. I think we were sold a bill of goods on him. Just like you can't listen to the Yankees organization because Brian Cashman's the best used car salesman you've ever heard in your life. So you don't know what's true and what's not true. You don't know what's Brian Cashman saying, hey, I'm building this guy up so we can trade him, or is he really that player? Because I heard that Jason Dominguez was our future center fielder, and then he plays outfield like he's on roller skates. Let me know how you feel in the comments. Who do you want, Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez? Because guess what? One of them is going to have to go before spring training because if they lose that competition, the value in their stock is going to drop. And if it's Jason Dominguez who loses that fourth outfielder spot to Spencer Jones, forget it. Jason Dominguez is going to be considered a failed prospect, and you're going to get a bag of balls for him.
I think he'll get his opportunity. If he hits, players who hit play, right? The Yankees are shoehorning Ben Rice at first base because he could hit. If Dominguez hits, they'll figure out a way for him to.
And real quick, Ben Rice with a whole spring training learning first base, he's going to be a good first baseman. He was playing catcher, DH, and first base last year, and he still had the numbers that he had. It's not easy showing up to the stadium every day and going, hey, what hat am I going to wear today? Get your catching gear out. Get your first baseman's glove out. And then also, not to mention, on your days off and you're practicing, you have to practice both positions to stay sharp. So that drains on your energy. That he's a smart kid from Dartmouth. I don't want Ben Rice touched with a 10-foot pole. That's another good example. With prospects like Anthony Volpe, Ben Rice was a double-A prospect, catching prospect that no one thought anything of. Almost got moved 6 times in 6 different trades. But he's here now, and he's a surprise. You're never going to know who's gonna pop up. But Spencer Jones, 6'7", left-handed Aaron Judge, that's how I would sell him. I think you could get a lot more and keep Jason.
Yeah, like the Mets just took obvious positions away from Brett Beatty, and yet believe Brett Beatty will get 400, 450, 500 if he hits, because they'll move him around. Now, of course, infield is a thing for him that is not for Dominguez, but I just feel like it's hard to hit in the major leagues, and if Dominguez hits, he'll do it. That is, and by the way, it's the best thing that can happen because the Yankees could then use him as a trade chip if they want. His value is probably a little lower today, or a lot lower today than maybe it was 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago.
So what they're saying is Jason Dominguez needs to come in, have a good spring training, and needs to produce on the major league level for him to be considered for a trade piece. So his stock is low right now. You know whose stock isn't low? It's Spencer Jones, because he just had 34 home runs in AAA, and we haven't seen him. That's the key.
Though the people who listen to this show should know, like the rest of the industry didn't think he was the Martian ever, pretty much. Like that this was a little Yankee hype fantasy among them and their
used car salesman
fan base, that he was something that most of the rest of the industry never saw. Now, a lot of the rest of the industry still thinks there's probably a 2020 player in there, which is a really good offensive player. If he shows that on the field, he showed some power very early. Yep. I mean, really early. And then he showed some speed last year. What he hasn't.
Also, Jason Dominguez was coming off a Tommy John surgery in his arm. You got to remember he got hurt. So it takes a little while to get back from that and get your confidence up. And especially when you're trying to make the team and you're 23 years old and you're the biggest prospect in the franchise, it gets to you. Okay? So this is going to be a fresh year.
Shown is a defensive component, which the Yankees kept bullshitting about, like acting like it was good when it wasn't. Before they do what they always do, which is admit it. Like now we're going to admit it because it's so obvious. And we can't lie publicly anymore. Will he ever be major league average defensively and a 2020 player? That feels like within his grasp. Will he grasp that? He's not there yet. And the Yankees are trying to win a championship. And, if you told me the option was Dominguez, Grisham, and Judge, or Bellinger, Grisham, and Judge for a team trying to win a championship, that feels like a no-brainer. And you have Dominguez as depth when you know often that your DH will have long-standing injuries. Like, again, Yankee opening day is what, March 26th? If you were making the odds that Stanton will be in the lineup, what's the odds he'll be in the lineup?
Not if he goes to Ruby Tuesdays and tries to cut a steak and sprains both arms like last year. And also, like I said, the Bartolo Colon rule. Who knows if that was a little phony sauce to get him to come back and only play one half of the season like he did last year. You got to remember, Giancarlo Stanton was so hurt in the beginning of the year. He had so much energy in his back pocket. He played, 21 games out in right field. So, listen, Giancarlo Stanton can play the outfield, but they should surround him in bubble wrap because he will get hurt. So he brings up a really good point. There will be spots on this team. Reps will be had for players. It just depends on who's going to win at a spring training. And I think that this spring training alone is going to be one of the most competitive, one of the most interesting, and one of the most exciting ones that we've seen in a very long time. I went down there 2 years ago for the Juan Soto when he was down there. Place was electric. But this year, it's going to be, if you're a baseball head and you're watching what goes on in the AL East this year, and the production of the prospects in the farm system is going to be very key for the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the New York Yankees to win this division this year.
60%.
Yeah, I would say
65.
40%, to be honest with you, because you don't like.
Okay.
Stan showed up last year with 2 elbow injuries.
By the way, when did Joel Sherman turn into a game show host? I don't know these open-ended questions. He's putting this poor kid on the spot. Hey, what would you think? 6'7"? What's the over?
We had no idea about. And then
right. So like Dominguez might be hitting 7th on opening day for all we know, as either the left fielder or the DH, and playing regularly. And so I guess we could make a problem out of what I don't think is a problem if you think you have quality depth. The same for Spencer Jones, which I assume we'll get to, which is Spencer Jones has proven nothing beyond that he's gotten to AAA, and he looks like he has the profile of Joey Gallo, and the Yankees have done that already, which is excellent athleticism, unreal power, and way too many strikeouts and not enough batting average probably. This is pretty obvious. Where on the Joey Gallo to Aaron Judge scale does Spencer Jones end up? The Yankees drafted him as the big piece of
that is not good. When you're being compared to Joey Gallo, this is what I'm saying. People will still bite on Spencer Jones. And if the Yankees aren't too high on him, man, they're trying to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Do not look Spencer Jones in the face, because there is big holes in his swing. I heard that he's working with Aaron Judge's hitting coach, but I don't know if that's true.
Play in the way they did with Judge, and Judge had a lot of these problems in the minors and closed the gaps with athleticism, determination, and great skill, to the point where I was at the dinner the other night and he got awarded his 3rd AL MVP. And is an historically great player and an historically great Yankee. Can Jones be 80% of that, 85% of that, where he closes up enough of the gaps, and the strikeout percentage in the major leagues, instead of being 35 to 40%, is 27%, and the flip side is some Adam Dunn with power, like Adam Dunn with athleticism, which is like, like he's at 27, 28%, but it's 40 home runs and the ability to play an outfield position, maybe even center field at a decently good level and run the bases. Well, that you'll figure out how to use that, though I think this Yankee lineup, as it stands, it's another reason why Bellinger needs to be here, strikes out way too much and is going to strike out a ton this year, I think more than last year, which I think is problematic. I just don't see Dominguez and I understand the grievance bitching society we live in where everything has to become a problem. I don't see Dominguez and Jones as problems. They haven't proven anything. They haven't proven enough for a championship team. If they're playing for the Chicago White Sox, they're probably the left fielder and center fielder on opening day, but they're not. They're playing for a team that wants to try to win a championship. So what they are right now is depth that needs to prove more or be used in trades. And the best thing that can happen to the Yankees is they prove some stuff and either help them or help them by being good enough to get traded for stuff they need.
So there you go. So it's going to come down to spring training. Like I said, I would not approach it like this. I would not let Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones get to spring training so teams cannot see their faults and their warts. Jason Dominguez's stock is a little bit low right now, but he is a switch-hitting guy. If he were to get reps every single day, this is how you sell Jason Dominguez. If he were to become an everyday player and not get interrupted in the outfield, he can be a 25 and 80 guy with 25 stolen bases. The way that you sell Spencer Jones, he's the left-handed Aaron Judge. That's it. Unreal power, runs like a gazelle. You sell that to teams, they're going to bite. But like I said, I don't really want to roll the dice on Skubal for a one-year rental. Empty the farm system for a guy that will not be here next year, and the Yankees do not re-sign in season. And this Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones storyline is only going to heat up as we get closer to pitchers and catchers, which is on February 12th, guys. We are getting closer and closer. And you can get closer to me. on New York Minute. That's NEWYRKMIN on Instagram, right here on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that notification button. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. I always appreciate the support, guys. I'm just getting revved up for baseball season. We got a bunch of good stuff in store for you right here at New York Minute Sports. It's New York sports for New York nuts. And remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. Good night, Canada. Bye.